And Ralph Nader, I'd like to ask you about a completely different topic, the continuing assault on labor unions and on public employees across the country. Obviously, the huge public uprising, in essence, in Wisconsin against the new draconian legislation passed there, but also in other states throughout the Midwest. Your assessment of this new assault on the public employee unions?
Well, it's a very concerted one, not only by governors, but by the Republican Party in particular, and the corporatists that run it. The idea is, after the Wall Street collapse drove us into a deep recession, which reduced tax revenues everywhere, especially with the Republican insistence that the Bush tax cuts for the wealthy be continued. It was the stage for saying, well, there are a lot of deficits in the state government in Wisconsin and Indiana and Ohio and elsewhere. Therefore, they have to go after the public employee unions, not only to make them concede on their salaries and benefits, X percentages, but also to break their human right to collectively bargain. And let's not be fuzzy about this. The right of collective bargaining is part of the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. Whenever we analyze the level of democracy in other countries, one of the signal yardsticks is, are the workers able to form independent labor unions? They are not in Mexico. They are not in China. They are not in many other countries that U.S. corporations are shipping jobs in entire industries to day by day. So the response has been unexpected but necessary. There are 100,000 people rallying last Saturday in Madison. There are other rallies in other states. The question is whether the AFL-CIO is going to put money and whether the United Auto Workers and others who have a lot of money in their strike fund reserves into mobilizing workers, union and non-union, all over the country, into a major political movement that refuses to go for the least worst between Republican and Democrat, and it demands that Obama fulfill his campaign pledge in 2008 to raise the minimum wage to $9.50. It's now $7.25. And also to push openly and transformingly for the card check and for repeal of Taft-Hartley so workers can have the same rights to organize as they do in Western Europe and Canada. So I hope this will continue. The issue we're all wondering about is, do these rallies have stamina? Will they replicate themselves throughout the country? Will they be supported with full-time organizers? And that's up to Richard Trumka of the AFL-CIO, who's been far too congenial with President Obama, and he's got to stand firm, as he knows how to, and get his member unions to put more resources into these drives.
And Ralph, a particular target of the Republican efforts have been these public employee pensions. They keep claiming in many states, not just in the Midwest, that local governments can no longer afford providing pensions, especially at the level of benefits that some of the pensions systems have for these veteran government workers. Your response?
Well, many of these pensions are funded. Others have gaps in their funding. There are a few abuses, in some of these areas, early retirement, full pensions, age 50, for example. But by and large, public employee unions represent the kind of middle-class standard of living that most Americans aspire to. And they negotiated these, obviously. But what's important to remember is, how can they say that the public employees' claim on the Treasury has to be cut back, firefighters, police, teachers, civil servants, when there is hundreds of billions of dollars of corporate welfare in these states, tax abatements in New York City, for example, subsidies, handouts, giveaways. I mean, it's insinuated into the structure of state, local, and national government. Those are the ones that should go first. Corporate welfare should go first before you start cutting back on people's standard of living. And the governor of Wisconsin, he had a current year $137 million deficit. It's pretty small by other states. And he provided $140 million in corporate tax welfare for starters, added on to all the other corporate welfare systems in Wisconsin. So we've got the thing turned around. Workers take the brunt, but not these corporate supremacists, not these corporate freeloaders that we have to guarantee and support, just like nuclear power has to be guaranteed by the taxpayer because Wall Street won't finance them. So we have to get over this idea of making the least powerful pay the price for the corporate criminality that started in the latest stage from the Wall Street crooks and speculators who looted and drained trillions of dollars of pension funds and mutual fund savings while they enriched themselves, tanked their companies, their banks, and sent them to Washington to be bailed out by the same workers in their role as taxpayers. It's really time to raise our level of informed indignation, break our routine, and get involved as voters and citizens at the local, state, and national level.
Well,